Probably really should. I've been carrying out 15 years.
He was sitting out when
Good evening. It is 6:00 p.m. We will call this regular November 7th City Council meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
Berkland.
yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Walling. Schott.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Tonight we, any discussion? I should have asked that first. If not, we'll consider it approved. The consent agenda.
Wait,
Oh,
how's
wait,
your roll?
we need to approve the agenda, yeah. Need a
Schott.
motion to approve the agenda, yeah.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Berkland.
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. Tonight we have the following minutes of the October 17, 2022 regular city council meeting. Payments for contract services. All of these are Bolton and Mink. Runway 14, 30 seconds. Relocation phase 1, $36,257. Runway 14, 30 seconds. Relocation phase 2, $6,749.19. Runway 14, 30 seconds. Relocation phase 3, $5,892.10. Comprehensive plan update, $11,035. No change. General municipal engineering, $2,720. Frog Creek Stream Restoration Phase 1, $663. 2019 sanitary sewer SIP lining, $138, and wastewater design, $26,801.60. That should all total up to $90,255.89. Claims and registers. Tonight we have $2,343,355.83. Tonight we have no license and permits to consider. Need a motion to approve those consent agenda items.
Second.
Any discussion of those items? If not, call the roll, please.
Walling. Yes. Mahler.
Yes.
Berkland.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Okay, city administrator report.
All right, well, it's good to be back in the saddle. First meeting back for a while, but I did want to just start by saying thank you to mayor, council, and then all of our staff allowing me to be gone for a couple weeks there with the new baby, and it's a very nice time just getting to know each other and spending time as a family. So appreciate that. Thanks for making it mostly painless coming back to the office. That's a D. So that was the first meeting of October, I think. Second meeting of October that I was gone, I was in Dubuque at the Growing Sustainable Communities Conference. Gave a presentation with Impact 7G and Alliant Energy on our solar project, both the on-site solar that we have on our buildings, as well as the Alliant project out of the brownfields that will be going on first thing in the spring. So great conference, really well received, and hopefully some more people will take after us and puts it in some more solar. We'll go through quite a few project updates, but did want to highlight the comprehensive plan. The public engagement portion is open. We put a link out. There's a link on the website to that on the homepage, perrya.org, as well as some links on Facebook as well to the public input side. There's a survey as well as a really fun interactive mapping tool that you can get on and play on the map and mark points of interest of things that you really like and also opportunities for improvement. So definitely get on, check that out. It's kind of all my sleep deprived brain can come up with. So does anybody have any questions for me? And I have cute baby pictures for anybody interested. The action plan. So most comprehensive plans have just an implementation portion, but working with Matt, Rose, and the rest of the Bolton Mink team, we really wanted a more actionable plan. So ours will have a much more robust implementation plan that actually puts timelines and responsible parties to things. So trying to build some accountability and a little bit better timeline, just because comp plans tend to be a much larger picture plan that kind of just ends up sitting on a shelf. I wanted to make sure that it was really something that we could all look at and follow as a guide for the next 5 to 10 years, so that we can really make some more progress from where we've been. But it all rests on public input, so be sure to get out there and check it out. And there are paper copies of the survey as well, if anybody needs that. So.
Good. Anything else for Stan? Not Mayor Council comments. It's great to have Sven back to work, and along with that, I find it always exciting to be in contact with new parents, and Sven is especially a proud parent. He really is. And that's great to see. But just as much fun as asking him how his night's sleep went when I see him. That's one thing that I'm not sure until you're a new parent that. Yeah, you hear about these things, and others have gone through it, but I don't think you're prepared for it until you go through it yourself. Is there some truth to that, Sven?
Absolutely. And there's some people, some of which in this room, that take much too much joy out of my sleeplessness.
I don't take joy out of anybody's sleeplessness, but it's always interesting to interact with and watch how it goes.
Your second, third, and fourth will be way easier.
So you have lots of people here that I sure have and can give lots of advice. I know you're welcome. I think that's all I have tonight. Council comments?
I've just got one. Vote tomorrow. Everybody out there in the public, get out and vote. Don't care what side you vote on, just vote. And thank God no more political ads after 5 o'clock tomorrow night.
I'm looking forward just to seeing the holiday commercials. Right? Anything else from council? Okay. If not, we'll move on to open forum. If we have anybody here tonight, we'll have speakers step up to the microphone if they're present and state their name and address for the record and be given 3 minutes to address council. Do we have anybody in person or zooming in for open forum tonight? And again, this is the time to address anything on our agenda or anything that's not on our agenda that you want to share with us. Anybody for open forum? Mary Murphy, do you have anything for us?
No, but I gotta say that the Spooktacular last Friday was awesome, or 2 Fridays ago, was totally awesome. We saw so many more kids out than we had ever seen before. But everybody enjoyed getting their book from the library, and I think closing off the streets really helped the movement of people around where all the businesses were that were handing out candy. So it's just another one of those great events Perry puts on that the community really, really appreciates.
All right, thank you. Anybody else for open forum tonight? Seeing none, I guess we'll move on to old business. First item under old business is resolution approving an application for a CDBG grant from IEDA for a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization planning grant. Staff had been working with Mid-Iowa Planning and was looking to secure a grant financing through Iowa Economic Development Authority, IEDA, for a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization planning grant in the amount of $25,000. If awarded, the comprehensive neighborhood revitalization planning grant, the City of Perry guarantees a match of 25% of the requested grant amount. IEDA is updating their process for assessing CDBG grants in an effort to make targeted and meaningful improvements to defined neighborhoods through the housing and infrastructure grant programs. In order to apply for future housing and infrastructure grants, the application must follow a plan. The grant application would fund the planning process for the area of First Avenue to Fifth Street and Willis Avenue to South Street. City Council of the City of Perry participated in a phone poll on October 28th, 2022 to approve a community development block grant, CDBG, through Iowa Economic Development Authority for a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization planning grant, and to authorize the mayor for the City of Perry to sign on behalf of the City of Perry all necessary documents for submittal of said application on and before October 30th, 2022, in which such action was carried unanimously by the council. This action formally approves the application for a community development block grant through Iowa Economic Development Authority for a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization planning grant. Need a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to pass resolution approving the application for the CDBG from IEDA for the Comprehensive Neighborhood Revitalization Planning Grant.
Any discussion on that?
Yep. So again, this was a phone poll that we did to get it in on time, along with the next item. So appreciate everybody getting back and voting on that.
Sometimes we just can't get around doing that phone poll. We want to get something approved. Any other discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Walling. Yes. Mahler.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Stein.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution approving a purchase agreement, Reliant Fire Apparatus, Inc. for a Pierce Saber top mounted pumper fire apparatus. Per resolution 091922F, the City of Perry accepted a grant award from the fiscal year 2021 Assistance of Firefighters Grant, AFG, in the amount of $477,238.09, with city contributions of non-federal funds of $23,861.91 for the purchase of a new fire apparatus. Fire Chief Chris Hines has been working with Reliant Fire Apparatus, Inc. to define specifications and pricing for a Pierce Saber top mount pumper fire truck to replace a fire truck that was in need of retirement due to age. The quoted price for the new truck is $740,610 with a payment in full cash discount of $23,363, bringing the total contract price to $717,247. This leaves $240,008.91 remaining for the city to provide from the grant difference to total the contract price. Due to the opportunity to receive the discount for payment in full of $23,363 and an upcoming price increase of $45,917.82 on November 1st, it is in the best interest of the city financially to conduct a phone poll to approve the signing of the purchase agreement from Reliant Fire Apparatus, Inc. before October 31, 2022, ensuring savings of $69,280.82. City Council did participate in the poll on October 28, 2022, to approve the purchase agreement with Reliant Fire Apparatus, Inc. for a Pierce Saber top mount pumper prior to the October 31, 2022 date, in which such action was carried unanimously by the council. This action formally approves the purchase agreement and authorizes the payment of $717,247 per the total contract price, and such payment be submitted to the grant for federal funding of the eligible cost. Need a motion, please?
I make a motion to pass a resolution approving the purchase agreement, Reliant Fire Apparatus Incorporated for Pierce Saber top-mounted pumper fire apparatus.
Discussion?
Okay, so again, we've been through a lot of this. I did want to touch on one part of this. Obviously, this is a large purchase. And normally we would absolutely not do something like this just with a phone pole. But because we were looking at a savings of just shy of $70,000, kind of having to weigh that, we decided that it was fiscally the best option for us to do a phone pole. So, you know, definitely not something that would be a normal thing by any means, but definitely had a lot of discussion about that, as well as with the mayor, about, you know, how to approach this with, you know, doing this in a meeting versus phone poll, and then coming back after this has been signed. But again, I think we all had that discussion when I did the phone poll. Everybody was very understanding, but definitely $70,000 is nothing to sneeze at. And it would definitely save a lot of tax dollars. So just wanted to put that out there.
Well, and it helped that you had some really good information on what we were doing.
Sure. And
Right.
Susie and Liz did a great job of helping put together that narrative of exactly, you know, what we're on the hook for and what the savings is, and very specific. So thanks to those two for putting those numbers together. So we will be needing to figure out how to pay the $240,000. So a couple of options is, one, we can just pay that out of our reserves with this opportunity with the grant. Or we can budget for that in the upcoming budget session and kind of pay ourselves back, because we did have enough in reserve to cover that dollar amount, but just kind of whether or not we want to pay ourselves back or not with next year's budget moving forward. So we'll have more of that discussion. It'll be part of our budget discussion, but just wanted to put that up. So it is significantly higher than our match that we talked about when applying for the grant, accepting the grant. But fire trucks, like everything else, have been going up. So you can see it was going to go up $45,000 from the end of October to November 1st. So things just keep going up and up. So no time like the present.
I'd like to make a comment. I think it's important that the citizens are listening and are aware of what we're doing, because $700 and some thousand for the city of Perry is a lot of money. And I think we all firmly believe that this is money very well spent. But it's well spent for the safety and the upkeep and the care of our citizens' residents. That's where this puppy is going to be great and handy and useful and save lives and save money. And I just want to call the citizens' attention to the fact, hey, look up. We're spending a lot of money, $700 and some thousand, so that our fire department, which already does a great job, can do a better job and be there a little bit quicker with a little more oomph behind them to get a fire out and get it safely taken care of and so on. I think it's a tremendous thing that we're willing to spend this kind of money for the well-being of Perry. I think it's our job, but the fact that we step up to the plate and think about it and talk about it and do it smart and wisely, I think the citizens really need to listen to that.
And I would say the biggest part of that is $475,000 of that was a federal grant. So definitely great opportunity for us to capture.
And I think the action was fiscally responsible. Again, as you pointed out so well, $70,000 is a lot for us to save too. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Mahler,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Berkland,
Yes.
Walling, Schott,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next item, approval of pay application number 3 for the 2020 downtown street and utility improvements project. Pay application number 3 in the amount of $427,593.58 to Crow River Construction for work completed on between First and Third Street along Bateman has been received and signed by the engineer and is recommended for approval. Need a motion, please?
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Good progress. I see Jacob standing up to make a full report.
So we're working with Mid-American right now to get a couple services lowered in preparation for paving operations to take place next Monday is the plan. As you can see, the weather is changing a little bit on us. So we are coming together on a tentative secondary plan with temperatures being lower than that 35 degrees. Working with the paver and the contractor to figure out what the plan is there, whether we got to blanket the grade to keep things set up for us and what that's going to look like ahead. So all of the public infrastructure is in from First to Third, ready to be paved. You can see all the rocks in. We do have 3 Mid-American services to get lowered. That way the paving machine can get through there. Just talked to them here today. They're getting a schedule put together. And then next spring, we'll continue on the next blocks.
Any other questions, discussion? Thank you. If not, call the roll, please.
Walling.
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Berkman.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
All right, next item. Approval of pay application number 17 for the wastewater treatment facility improvements. Pay application number 17 in the amount of $1,291,440.45 to Woodruff Construction for the construction of the wastewater treatment facility improvements. To date, total payments requested by the contractor is 53%, 53% of the total amount of work to be completed under the contract. All documents have been reviewed and signed by the engineer and are recommended for approval.
Make a motion to approve pay application number 17 for the wastewater.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Like a bunch of ants out there every time you go out there.
Do have Dave on Zoom. Dave, do you have an update? Matt, do you have an update?
Well, as Jacob alluded to, cold weather is coming. So they're continuing rapidly trying to get as much concrete as we can in the ground and get footings in and get buildings up and vertical, trying to get everything covered so we can keep working through the winter. Some underground pieces we're still waiting for. We do still have a pretty long wait on some of the electrical control panels. We did find out here in the last week that we've got some, it sounds like 3 to 4 month delays on some of the equipment. So we're hoping that those show up at some time in the spring. We're keeping our fingers crossed, but they've continued to charge full steam ahead and work with every area they get, whatever materials they've got, they keep working. So I think they're doing their best they can to keep it on schedule as long as materials keep showing up. Questions?
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Matt or further discussion?
And just a point on that, Matt and I have been talking about this a little bit. And the contractor has already more or less requested an extension on the completion date. So that's probably something Matt said we'd wait for.
Yeah.
Springtime-ish.
Yeah,
we'll have that discussion as we have more of a better idea on timing of those deliveries.
Yeah, we'll keep tracking that because the odds are through the winter time, as we get into more control panels, those kind of things, we suspect we'll have others start showing up with some delays. So kind of what we've worked through with the contractor is let's keep an eye on it as we get closer to the spring. If we're going to have a project impact, we'll bring that amendment back to you guys so you guys are aware of what the schedule change would be if there is one.
It's just one of those things that nobody has control over. It's not our fault, contractor's fault. So definitely want to treat everybody fairly. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks. Call the roll, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Barkland,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Walling. Yes. Schott.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. First item under new business is resolution authorizing the use of a tree agreement. With the recent emerald ash borer being found in the city of Perry, many trees have become diseased and not able to survive. The best option is removal to prevent damage from falling dead branches on streets, vehicles, and for the safety of citizens. The city has control over all trees in the right of way and removes them when they are dying, dead, or diseased. Some residents have expressed concern with removals and have requested the city not to do them. Staff feel the drafted agreement needs to be adopted. So if a resident wishes not to have a tree removed by the city, they take all responsibility for it in the future. If it needs to be removed or trimmed, such agreement would be filed with the county and be attached to the property, declaring the city harmless for any future responsibility related to such tree or trees. This resolution would approve and authorize the use of such tree agreement. Need a motion, please?
Second that.
So this has come up some in the past when we're dealing with trees in the right of way. And kind of has come up to more of a need dealing with our ash trees in the right of way because there's so many. You know, a common, for instance, of this would be if somebody is having their tree treated and does not want to cut down right now their ash tree, they could sign this, it's filed, and then the property owner is responsible for that tree. So if it would die in the future, then they would be responsible for removing it outside of our removal time for ash trees. So it's kind of, don't touch it, I'm taking ownership of it type of situation. So,
And then legally have to sign the paper to do that.
yeah, otherwise, if they don't want to sign that tree agreement, then we would continue with the tree.
I think we're opening a can of worms. We know what the problem is with them. We know it's gonna take effect. I think we should just proceed to whether they're in favor of it.
Well,
And I understand
I would say
the thought process behind it.
Well, I was just saying, I was treating ash tree. But because of duration.
and I would say it's also not just limited to this, like before the ash borer, we've had other issues of people wanting to try and save trees with, I mean, they've wrapped a chain around them. I think one person filled one with concrete to save it. So this is bigger than just that. So it's been an issue that we've dealt with where we then end up going back and dealing with it later, and it then costs us more money. So,
but in this case, we're not going to go back.
No.
with the tree agreement, correct. And
Can we insist that it comes down to?
if it becomes a dangerous situation, yes, then we take it back. But we would probably go to the homeowner and request that they pay for that since it was their responsibility. So, but to Councilwoman's point, you know, in some of these cases, folks have made a financial investment in treating the tree that otherwise would be cut down. So,
What's the success rate of treatment? Do we have professionals in the audience that could give us some statistics on what percent the treatment works and how so on and so forth?
Well, consider myself an expert. I will work with Red Congress. They do the injection from the tree. It's about chest height. They drill into the tree about 6 inches and about 7 to 6 inches apart around the circumference of the tree. The following second year, they drill it again and treat it the exact same way, but they split the difference. So then they drill a hole in that all the way around. And then 4 years later, they split the difference again. So now you got drilled it, every year. Those differences closer and closer together. The last presentation that I saw was where they cut down the tree that had been treated for like 10 years, tree treatments. And the whole center of the ash tree was rotten because drilled in holes every 2 years, killed the ash tree. So that's injections. There are surface applications of insecticide, but not anybody now is doing some application or is injecting. So I'm not speaking for there's businesses that are doing that. And if you want to try to save that tree for a while, you can. I think as far as what I'm doing in the park system and what we'll try to do in the railways, it's just more effective to cut them down and replant as soon as possible. So the new trees. Quicker chance to establish themselves.
I have a question. Sure. These trees are on the right. We sign this, and that tree dies out. I mean, there's a lot of trees that are. You know, what happens if they don't?
Well, that's part of the agreement. Is it's a hold harmless that if anything falls out of that tree, it's the responsibility of the homeowner.
So what happens if they sell the house and the house is by a new owner that has no responsibility period?
That's why we would have it recorded and it would show up on the title opinion.
So the new owner would automatically be taking on that responsibility.
But it should show up that they would know. So then in a closing process, they could, you know, have it taken out, or when they're buying the home, they know it's a thing. I guess the alternative to this agreement is that every time we would run into a situation, we would probably have to bring it to council, or if you want to just set a policy that we take down ash trees and that's that, I think that's fine with staff too. And just as long as we have the support and backing from city council, if we cut down a tree and somebody gets upset. So we're just trying to come up with an alternative that somebody could choose to continue treating an ash tree in their yard and take responsibility for it.
Is this a proactive resolution, or is this being brought up because there have been people that have said, no, I don't want you to cut my tree down, go away?
I think the best answer to that is yes. It's something that we started talking about when we started talking about ash trees. And now that we're taking them down, I think we did have at least one, is that true? That has requested that we don't remove their ash tree. So
I can see it from both sides, but I know I personally, I love trees, and I know that people, even if the tree's in the right of way, if it's in their yard, they consider that their tree. And I think if we're giving them the option, and that we would then be not liable for that, for removal or falling or anything, I think that makes us maybe the good guy in some people's eyes, rather than having to fight that fight every time somebody says, let my kid's name is carved in that tree, or whatever it might be. That at least giving them the option to say, hey, you're going to be responsible for this. We're walking away from it.
Right.
And again, we've had this issue, and like I said, people have chained them together and put ratchet straps and cables, and then that all gets thrown into, and it kind of causes an issue when a chainsaw gets that kind of stuff. So just we're just trying to come up with a way to handle it in a organized way. So
they just probably need to realize they're just delaying the inevitable. That tree is going to most likely eventually die.
And I think staff and I are fine either way. If council says, if it's dead, dying, diseased, or it's an ash tree, you take it down no matter what. We just need backing one way or another of being able to have this agreement, or knowing that if we are enforcing what our plan is, that support council.
Well, I've got one in my backyard. I have 4 times. But I had tree service. And we came to look at it. And it will die. So, and the thing is, it dies inside. So you don't really see it until you start cutting down. So I'm having the limbs taken off this year, and next year. It's just the same.
Yeah.
You know, you can't see what's inside. So, I mean, and it's, I think it's a safer thing for neighbors too, because you've got limbs that are.
Nice thing is we're only dealing with the right of way. So
I know, but you can have one on the right of way. That's a house and stuff.
Somebody that's truly invested in that tree. Let them do it. As long as they're still there.
Right. And that probably will die eventually anyways.
It will die eventually.
But if they want to enjoy it another few years, that's their right, I guess, if we go with this. Any other discussion?
Is there, or could there be a caveat if the tree is clearly gone, not treatable, not, this tree is done, that there is no, we're not gonna do an agreement if that tree is not.
yeah, I think this will be used in situations that it's a reasonable request, you know, by Public Works. It's seems to be a sound tree. Obviously, if you can see it's split or half rotted and stuff like that, that's going to be a no. This is really for somebody that has a tree that, you know, they're treating and it looks healthy today, that
There's still hope.
there's still the little Lorax within their hearts is still
All right.
still holding out that hope. So yeah.
Any other discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Walling.
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Berkland.
Yes.
Schott.
I'm going to abstain.
Klein.
Just say yes. Yes. Yes.
All right, thank you. Next item, resolution setting street cut and curb cut fees. Staff has determined that a review of street and curb cut fees is necessary. It was determined that the fees needed to be increased to cover materials and expenses to perform such work. This resolution would approve the increase in fees setting street cuts fees at $25 per square foot and $20 per linear foot, with the stipulation that the minimum fee will be $300 per curb cut. This is to ensure that the city of Perry's costs for materials, equipment, and labor are adequately covered. Need a motion, please? Okay, Josh is here to talk about this, I think.
So for the longest time, we've been charging $19.50 a square foot.
How much?
We're looking at raising $19.50,
Okay.
which was set a very long time ago. And we're also, our curb cuts were $15 a linear foot with a $150 minimum. We're changing that to $20 a linear foot with $300 minimum. It's a lot of time and material and equipment to go cut somebody's curb for them. We've had places where somebody will go cut it and they'll call back and say, hey, I need 2 more feet cut off. And then we've actually figured out it's actually cheaper for us to go do that for them than for them to buy their own saw. So this is something we're not, street cuts and curb cuts, we're not in it to make a profit on anything. It's just with the rise of material, we just felt it was time to go up. I think probably when we wrote this, I don't know what concrete was a yard. I'd have to look, but we just got to think that it's going up another 10% after January. So M4 that we pour is going to be pushing close to $200 a yard. So.
Which is probably close to double in the last few years.
yeah, I would say that's probably, yeah, from when we first had these rates, I would say it's probably more than double.
We're just catching up to the times. Any further discussion or questions? If not, call the roll, please.
Walling. Yes. Klein.
Yes.
Berglund.
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next item, resolution approving a job description and wage for the Public Works Director position and hiring for the position in the city of Perry, Iowa. Due to recent department changes and restructuring of the Public Works Department, it is necessary to update and revise the job description and wage for the position of Public Works Director to better fit the new structure of the Public Works Department. This resolution approves the hire of Mr. Josh Webker for the position of Public Works Director effective November 8, 2022, and approves the job description as attached and part of this resolution, along with the annual salary of $85,000. Need a motion, please?
I make a motion, we pass a resolution approving the job description and wage for the Public Works Director position and hiring for the position for the city of Perry, Iowa.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
All right, so as I sent out in a press release last week, Jack Butler is now our airport manager, which I know he's pretty excited about for a little bit of a change of pace out there and new scenery, but gave us the opportunity for some second look and a little bit of restructuring of the Public Works Department. So as it was, there was the Public Works Director and the Deputy Public Works Director. And the next item on this agenda is the Public Works Superintendent position. So we're taking that from kind of essentially two administrative roles within the Public Works Department to the Public Works Director really being that administrative person, and then having that the Public Works Superintendent be more of the day-to-day operational type person that is really based at the shop and in the field with the other Public Works employees. This Public Works Director will also bring under the airport as well as the wastewater treatment plant into that Public Works Department as a whole. So just trying to create a little bit better structure and bring somebody that's more available and can give everybody a little bit better attention than I can, so that we can kind of hone in on what we're doing and let that Public Works Director really oversee those things that have a lot of overlap and interaction between those other departments into one overall department. So that brings up Mr. Webker, who expressed a little bit of interest for the job. And so last week, I think, right?
Right, last Tuesday.
Personnel Committee is along with myself. So Mrs. Klein, along with Mr. Berglund and Mayor Andorf, met with Josh, did a very rigorous interview, stumped him on a couple questions, but I believe do have the recommendation to hire Josh as the next Public Works Director. I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything.
Josh interviewed well, and he's been around the department for a few years now, quite a few years now. And he was very enthusiastic and shared some good ideas with us of some things he'd like to accomplish and see happen in the department. I personally think Josh is a good choice for the job. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Berglund.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Walling.
Yes.
Schott.
Absolutely.
So congratulations. That few years that you've been around is about 20 years, isn't it?
Yes.
More than a few, perhaps. Congratulations. Next item, resolution approving job description and pay range for the Public Works Superintendent position in the city of Perry, Iowa. The Public Works Superintendent position would be responsible for the day-to-day operation and maintenance of the city's street, stormwater, sewage collection systems, and solid waste activities. These various activities would include, but are not limited to, ensuring that all federal, state, and local regulations are met and that departmental policies and procedures are followed to provide safe, dependable, and cost-effective operation of the municipal stormwater collection, wastewater collection, and public right-of-way systems. The full job description is attached and part of this resolution, along with a wage range of $70,000 to $78,000 per annum. Need a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution approving job description, pay range with superintendent's position.
I'll second that.
Discussions, Fran, I talked a little bit about this just a moment ago. Any other further discussion?
Well, like I said, this is going to be a little bit more of a hands-on position. Let Josh deal with more of the office duties and still mix in some hands-on stuff here and there. But I think we'll definitely be a great addition to the structure of the organization, as well as be a nice go-to for Josh to help get stuff done. So excited for that. But tomorrow morning, we'll probably get this posted with the Iowa Public Works Association, the League of Cities, and then our city website. So we'll get that pushed out, try and get some applications in and go through that hiring process. But excited for what that could do as well.
Okay, any further discussion or questions about this position? Job description? If not, call the roll, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Smaller.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Walling. Schott.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item, resolution approving addition to the fire department roster. Excuse me. Fire Chief Hines is recommending approval of Ms. Michaela Heimerman's application to the volunteer fire department. Chief Hines stated that Ms. Heimerman was interviewed by the officers of the department and is believed that she will make a great addition to the department with her strong desire to be actively involved in her hometown. Chief Hines also stated that he had spoken with Police Chief Vaughn regarding this application of one of his officers, and that the Police Chief Vaughn approved of his officer also serving as a volunteer firefighter. Department roster is nowhere near its capacity, therefore allowing for the addition of a new personnel. Ms. Heimerman will also fall under the SAFER grant, which will cover the cost of her protective gear. Need a motion, please? Discussion? Chief, did you have anything to add to that, or?
This will be her that we battled our application on the table there. Those will be the last two that we get through on this SAFER grant. And it expires in 26.
Oh.
And I believe she'll be a good addition. We had some training here at the part of October that she was involved in. And several points. Really enjoyed it. That's what she said this organization did. Why? Just there to make sure there's no conflict there, and as long as she realizes that her police duties are police duties and fire duties are fire duties, and they don't mix, that everything will be fine. So
Great. Any other discussion? If not, call the roll.
Walling. Yes. Schott.
Yes.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Smaller.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
All right. Good to have these two members added. Next item, resolution approving addition to the fire department roster. Fire Chief Hines is recommending approval of Mr. Brendan Smith's application to the volunteer fire department. Chief Hines stated that Mr. Smith was interviewed by the officers of the department, and it is believed that he will make a great addition to the department. The department roster is nowhere near its capacity, therefore allowing for the addition of new personnel. Mr. Smith will also fall under the SAFER grant, which will cover the cost of his protective gear. Need a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to pass a resolution approving addition to the fire department roster.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? It's great to see that we continue to get new applicants that are stepping up to join our volunteer fire department. So who's ever encouraging that, chief, and anybody else to get these new people aboard, we're thankful. If no other discussion, call the roll, please.
Mahler,
Yes.
Berkland.
Yes.
Walling. Schott.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Okay. Next item, resolution approving the professional services agreement with Bolton and Mink for the Violet Hill Cemetery expansion plan. This professional services agreement for the Violet Hill Cemetery expansion plan is very important. If burials are to continue at the current rate, our cemetery will be full within 5 years. This plan will set up the cemetery for a smooth transition once the current burial spaces are full. This expansion plan will also tie in with the current GIS project that is taking place at the cemetery and help provide the needed direction for the 3 to 5 years of budget planning in order to maintain a functioning cemetery for the city of Perry. Need a motion, please?
I make a motion to pass a resolution approving the professional service agreement with Bolton and Mink for the Violet Hill Cemetery expansion plan.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I've got a question. How much is this gonna cost us?
We budgeted for this project, our last fiscal year, I believe it was somewhere around 12. And after really negotiating with Jacob, it's gonna come in somewhere around 14, but I've got some money in green sticks, maintenance and development that'll cover the rest. So it's a big deal. Like I said, in that reading there, you know, we're gonna be full here in 3 to 5 years. This project complements the GIS project that we're doing right now. It's pretty important that we know where we're going to put roads and lot pins and develop that portion that the city owns just adjacent to the east. I don't exactly know how many acres it is. At the top of my head, I want to say 12, maybe. I think it was more than that. But.
Are we eventually gonna have to buy some more of that field around us?
It's possible. We'll see. Part of this planning session is all about new policies. Are we going to allow headstones? Are we going to have, you know, like the tower? If you ever been and seen like I can't remember what they're called.
Columnaries.
Yeah. So like, you know, are we going to have those there? And what does that new section look like? And what does the new policies look like? That kind of determines how long, how many years we can go before we'll have to expand again. So all that is what we're trying to figure out. And that's part of what this planning section is going to be.
I'm not opposed to this situation in any way, but I'm curious. It seems to me that we have a tremendous amount of unused grave sites that are owned by people, families that have, let's say, 4 sites, but that's 2 have been used and 2 that haven't. And because I ride my bicycle a lot in the cemetery, and so do we ever? Is there ever any way to consider buying some of those empty plots back and reselling them to make use of that space?
I'm not sure if that's ever been done before. I don't know if
it
that's
hasn't been bought by the city, but there is a way, like if you would want a space that you knew was like somebody hadn't been buried in that for like 100 years, yeah. There's a way in the code to like open up that space, but you have to publish it for a year. And I mean, there's like quite a few hoops to jump through. Yes.
Okay.
There's a whole state
about how the space gets bought but not used.
Yeah, the state has a lot of control. Like Liz was just saying, the state has a lot of control on what happens in cemeteries. So we're trying to kind of keep up with that as much as we can.
I think to answer your question, Jeremy, is a lot of times like a family used to buy a lot.
Okay. Yep.
And then mom and dad got buried there, but sister and brother-in-law went to Maine and were buried. So there's a lot of space that was purchased, but then like Chuck was saying, not necessarily used.
Yeah. And part of the GIS program will identify all those spots. So, you know, it could be a thing where when we get down to the end and we're really like, if we don't have the new edition ready to go yet, then we could possibly be reaching out to families if that's a.
I mean, I can
that's a
speak to
thing.
personal opinion. You know, my family's had a 10-person plot there for years. And we've had one vacant plot that hasn't been used. The last person that was buried there was probably 35 years ago.
Sure.
So there's been an empty site there. And to the best of my knowledge, probably my wife and I are going to share that plot at some point.
Sure.
But there's, you know, there's a lot of those spaces that do sit empty and families gone from town and so on and so forth.
I think that situation happens more than some people might realize.
Yeah, you know, and if we could be a little proactive, maybe in
Yep.
contacting some of those people, you know, and seeing some of them don't even realize they still have it.
That's very true. Yep. Yeah.
So we
You
might
get it.
as well try to use that space.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, like that GIS program or the project that we're doing right now will 100% identify all of that stuff, and we'll be able to kind of take action with that as
Probably with one click, you'll be able to turn on a layer that has every vacant space and actually see that and count them and spit out a report. So,
yep.
And the other thing is, Susie, I'm not exactly sure in the years, at one point they decided to sell the south half and the north half, which split that middle third space. So it's not really a bearable space anymore because the person that owns the north half owns half of that third space, and the person that owns the south half technically owns the other half of it.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
So,
it's crazy. I agree. Liz probably more than me has dove into the GIS stuff and can probably tell you a lot of horror stories right now.
So in some of those spaces, it looks like there's a lot of space because of how the headstones are positioned, but technically there's really not that much space there. So
plus we don't have the contact information for people who moved away from Perry 50 years ago.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have
Or
that's why you have, when you want to take possession of something, you have to like publish it and like give it a year for them to respond.
Sure. Yeah. Or the people that own it, according to the deed or and all of our paperwork, are already there. So then it's almost playing genealogy, figuring out, well, who is next in line.
I can understand it. It's complicated.
It doesn't take very many people hours to make it better off just putting in a new road, digging a fresh hole.
Yeah. And if 25, 30 years ago, the person that was doing the burying used a old wooden measuring stick to line it up, and if he got off a couple inches, by the end of the row, those couple inches turned into a couple feet and a couple yards, and then now we got whole rows that are offset and shifted, and how do you make up for it? And you try to squeeze things together, and it's, once again, this GIS project will really line us up really well and spearhead into an addition and making it.
Okay.
And as John mentioned, I think a big portion of this is looking at our policy around the, I almost said airport, the cemetery, and what we're gonna do there moving forward. So John mentioned headstones. A lot of cemeteries have the flush headstones so that we're not meat eating around everything all the time. I think it's a very valid conversation if in the expansion we're going to have full burials, or if we want to only do remains in the ground. I think that's becoming more and more common, and from probably getting on a tangent here and off topic, but I think from a land use perspective and what we want to use ground for in the city, I think that's something that we should have a conversation around of whether or not how we want to treat that, or how we move forward with full burials versus cremains or what have you. So,
and we definitely don't want to expand the cemetery for 20 years. Like, we want to set it up for 150 years so that we're not coming right back again, 15, 20 years from now saying, well, we're running out of spots, we got to expand again. So like, if we can plan it and have some serious longevity planning going into this, should set us up well.
So that's my question. What 5 years seems like cutting pretty close. Or like, what is standard operating procedure? What would be a good time allotment for us to have? We have a 20-year plan. We have a 30-year plan. Like what does that look like in a perfect world? Or if people are dying at the current rate, we have enough room to bury people for how many years?
5 years. And
Well, in a perfect world, how many years out do we have? Probably more than 5? Is that?
oh, yeah, I would want to have, you know, I would want to safely say we're good with spots if the current rate continues the where it's at for 50 years, in my opinion. I wouldn't want to.
And, you know, to pump the brakes a little bit, it's not like we don't have property. We have property all the way around the cemetery, so it would be relatively simple to do an expansion. It's more so putting in roads and other infrastructure that, I mean, honestly, that wouldn't even take a long time. This is just the planning that.
It's the
really
survey and the lot pins and where the roads go. And there's you know, there's a farmer that's using the field right now, so we've got to give him a year's notice. So like there's a timeline of things that have to all happen in order for us to have the expansion done. So this is why we felt like we get the planning done now, and then hopefully by you know, it'd be nice if I could get something on the budget books for proceeding with the plan.
Another thing that's changed too is you can have a single farm. Somebody can be buried, but you can also.
Yep.
So that makes a difference if you want to buy 2 or 1.
Yep.
So that way.
Yeah. So there's a lot to it, but we're hoping to have it mapped out a little better and have an actual professional, like, this is what we're doing moving forward with the cemetery. So that's what this is.
Well, in our case, my husband's mother bought lots years ago. And the road where it's at took some of them, so the city market where they gave some behind.
Yeah.
So that works out. But it took like 30 years before we used any of those.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, it's important, you know, it's important to everybody that there's a place for celebrating life. So this is a big deal. So thank you.
John, not related to cemetery expansion, but certainly related to the cemetery. It looks great with the new flags, poles and flags up around the Veterans Memorial.
Yeah, thank you.
Looks great.
Yeah, we had some help with that too. So I think it was what's the teacher?
Any further discussion on cemetery expansion? If not, call the roll, please. Thanks.
Thanks.
Kirkland.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Mahler.
Yes.
Walling. Yes. Klein.
Yes.
All right. Next item, resolution approving an application to the EPA for a brownfield community-wide assessment grant. The city is an eligible application for the EPA's Brownfields Community-Wide Assessment Grant. Such grant would allow for an environmental assessment associated with demolition, acquisition, and private redevelopment that would be required in the urban, commercial, and industrial center of the city of Perry. These assessments would make the development and redevelopment process for public or private interest easier and enable the community to be more competitive with economic development projects. This resolution would authorize the mayor to sign such grant application and for staff to submit it on or before November 22nd, 2022. Motion, please.
Make a motion to pass a resolution approving an application to the EPA for Brownfields Community-Wide Assessment Grant.
So this, as everybody knows, I think, we've been very successful with EPA brownfield grants in the past. And Impact 7G mentioned that this grant program was available, and that there was funding out there that we could probably secure. So they put together the grant application for us and are gonna turn this in if approved. But again, just kind of doing that basic due diligence work for environmental stuff. So I know one of the areas that's going to be focused on is kind of the concrete plant area, just because they're hopefully going to be moving that plant out to their new location in the next few years. So I want to make sure that we're able to take care of this grant opportunity, take advantage of it, just in case there could be an opportunity with that property for redevelopment in the future. Nope, this is a community-wide assessment. So I think what EPA wants to see is that we have a handful of sites identified. But then once those are done, we can also go out into the community to other sites as well that might be out there. So they just want to make sure that you have some of your act together and have thought through it in the application, and then you can use the funds elsewhere.
Any further discussion on that application? If not, call the roll, please.
Mahler,
Yes.
Walling. Yes. Berglund.
Yes.
Schott.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, I don't want to miss the opportunity to recognize the fact that Friday is Veterans Day. I certainly want to recognize and thank all of our veterans in our community and beyond our community. Also, I want to put a plug in for the Veterans Day program. It's a great program. If you've never attended, I encourage you to do so at 10 o'clock a.m. Friday at the High School Performing Arts Center. So, again, I want to thank all the veterans and recognize them. But having no other further business before us, we adjourn at 7:05 p.m.